The quaint town of Maplewood, nestled between rolling hills and sprawling fields, was a place where secrets rarely remained buried for long. Everyone knew each other's business, or at least, they thought they did. And no one was more beloved than Dr. Emily Carter, the town's dedicated physician. For over a decade, she had been a beacon of hope and compassion, treating ailments both big and small with a steady hand and a warm smile. She was more than just a doctor. She was family to many. But on a crisp autumn morning, the town awoke to an unsettling mystery. Dr. Carter was missing. Her failure to arrive for morning rounds at the clinic set off a ripple of concern. It was unlike her to be late, let alone absent without notice. The nurses called her home, but there was no answer. By noon, whispers filled the town square. By nightfall, the concern had turned to dread. Sheriff Tom Reynolds, a lifelong resident of Maplewood, was called in to investigate. At first, he considered routine possibilities, a robbery gone wrong, a car accident on a lonely back road. But as hours turned to days, the case took a darker turn. Posters were plastered on every street corner. Volunteers combed the nearby woods, and still, there was no sign of Emily. Her husband, Mark Carter, was beside himself with grief. He painted a picture of a devoted wife, an exceptional doctor, and a woman who would never just disappear. She wouldn't abandon us, he insisted, his voice trembling. Yet, as the investigation deepened, so too did the cracks in the idyllic life they had built together. Sheriff Reynolds began to hear whispers. Emily had been acting strangely in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. She had been withdrawn, distracted. Close friends revealed she had been secretly attending therapy sessions, something even Mark hadn't known about. Anxiety, stress, the pressure of being the town's sole doctor, it all weighed on her more than she let on. A routine financial check raised even more questions. Emily had been making large, unexplained cash withdrawals in the months leading up to her disappearance. Where was the money going? And why keep it a secret? The most damning discovery came when investigators searched her home. Hidden in her desk was a collection of letters, dozens of them, all addressed to a man named David. Their contents were unmistakable. "I feel alive when I'm with you," one read. "You understand me in ways no one else does." David wasn't just a friend. He was something more. The revelation sent shockwaves through the town. Was Emily planning to run away? Had she left voluntarily? Or had someone stopped her before she could? Sheriff Reynolds confronted Mark with the letters, watching his reaction carefully. To his surprise, Mark barely flinched. "I know about David," he said flatly. "Emily told me. It was nothing more than a friendship." Reynolds wasn't convinced. He pressed harder. "Then why didn't you know about the therapy? Or the missing money?" Mark's resolve began to waver. He rubbed his face, exhaling shakily. "She was unhappy," he admitted. "I could see it. I thought if I could just fix things, be better for her, she would stay." A week later, an anonymous tip led Reynolds straight to David. He was a quiet man, an online acquaintance of Emily's who had never even set foot in Maplewood. "We never met in person," David explained. "She needed someone to talk to. She was drowning in expectations, and I listened. But she was scared. Something was wrong at home." The case cracked wide open when a local hiker stumbled upon a shallow grave deep in the woods. The remains were confirmed to be Emily's. The town's beloved doctor hadn't vanished. She had been silenced. The evidence pointed in one direction. Under mounting pressure, Mark finally broke. "I didn't mean to hurt her," he sobbed. "She told me she was leaving. That night, she packed a bag. She was going to meet David. I begged her to stay, to try one more time. But she said she couldn't live a lie anymore." The fight escalated. A push, a fall, a terrible accident. The community of Maplewood was left to grapple with the brutal truth. The woman they all admired had been living a life of quiet desperation, torn between duty and desire. Mark was arrested, and the town mourned not just the loss of their doctor, but the shattering of an illusion. In the end, Maplewood learned a hard lesson. Even the brightest lights can cast the darkest shadows. And sometimes, the truth is buried deeper than anyone dares to dig. If you enjoyed this story and want to uncover more hidden truths, be sure to like and subscribe for more captivating tales.